Joshua's heart was in his throat as he realized that when the platform of a roller coaster named the Drop Zone Stunt Tower started moving from a height of 63 meters, his seat restraint suddenly snapped open.
Damn.
This horrific incident came about during the deadliest month in the history of amusement parks, August of 1999. That was when the most injuries and deaths caused by roller coasters happened in the US. There weren't any supernatural forces or ominous astrological events at play. This is a story about the irresponsibility of amusement park owners and other people. Keep watching to find out more, but as always, viewer discretion is advised. The most accident-rich month in the history of amusement parks was kicked off on August 7th by an unfortunate incident at Six Flags New England, a park in Agawam, Massachusetts. A ride named Blizzard River is essentially rafting with sharp turns and rapids. Passengers filled an 8-person raft, and the ride began. Suddenly, the vessel capsized on one of the turns, and the passengers ended up in the water. While some were trying to get out of the artificial river, others found themselves in a trap. They got caught under the heavy raft. Just imagine
Damn.
how terrifying it is. A second ago, you were squealing with joy and the adrenaline that took you over. And now, you're screaming your lungs out for help, choking on water and fighting for your life. The 4 victims sustained such severe injuries that they had to be hospitalized immediately. Representatives of the hospital stated that the trauma varied from lumps and bruises to almost drowning, and 2 adult victims ended up in a very grave condition. According to the statistics, water rides have the highest accident rate.
Really?
They account for 20% of all incidents, followed by roller coasters, which are to blame for 10% of all visitor injuries. So, be careful, follow all safety regulations, and don't dismiss your right to inspect the boat before the ride starts as something unimportant. The tragedy I've just told you about was the most harmless accident of all those cases that happened in August of 1999. The next one came about as soon as the following week. At Epcot, a theme park at the Walt Disney World located in Bay Lake, Florida. A 5-year-old boy was happily waiting for his turn to visit the park's main attraction, named Spaceship Earth. For him, it was more than just a ride. It was like a real journey through time that he'd been dreaming of going on. The attraction was located inside a giant geodesic sphere, where thousands of years of human history flashed before the viewers. We can't exactly call it dangerous, as basically, it's just a 13-minute tour on a small train. The boy and his family took their place in a moving train car, but when the ride started, he tried to get up or lean out of the cabin. After losing balance, the child fell out of the car and hit the hard structure of the ride. The boy was immediately taken to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with an open multifragmentary fracture that needed surgery and prolonged treatment. Pay close attention to your...
Bro, I feel like, yeah, you can't even blame the theme park on that. Like, yeah, blame the parents, bro. They're not even paying attention to their kid. How does he get over the edge and y'all still didn't notice?
kids on amusement rides to keep them from trying to get up from their seats. After all, according to statistics, most injuries in U.S. amusement parks are caused by visitors violating safety regulations, not by the rides themselves. However, in the following stories, the visitors were definitely not the ones to blame.
Ooh.
August 20th, Lake Compounce Amusement and Water Park in Bristol, Connecticut. Matthew Henn, a 16-year-old boy, was starting his workday at the amusement park. He worked as an operator of a high-speed whirling ride called the Tornado. On this ride, the passengers get into special seats, strap themselves in, and start moving in a circle supposed to imitate a powerful storm. In the pitch-black darkness, strobe lights and flashes of neon create an illusion of a real tornado with lightning bolts, all accompanied by loud music. Matthew's day was going as usual. He was helping the passengers leave their seats after the ride was over. But suddenly, when Matthew was probably trying to assist a visitor or check something on the ride, all of a sudden, the boy slipped and fell. His legs got under the moving mechanism of the attraction, and his body was crushed by the weight of the ride. The operator immediately pressed the emergency stop button, and a rescue squad arrived at the site within minutes. To free Matthew, firefighters used special airbags to lift the heavy mechanism, if only by a few centimeters. That whole time, Matthew remained conscious, suffering from horrific pain because of arm bone fractures, dislocation of both shoulders, and internal organ damage. A helicopter took him to the hospital, but sadly, all of the doctor's efforts were in vain. Matthew succumbed to his injuries on the following day. The question arises, who and when decided that teenagers were the best candidates for ride operator positions at amusement parks, where people's safety depend on quick but carefully weighed out decisions? Amusement rides are complex machines. According to the statistics, mechanism failure and operator errors are the two main reasons for amusement park accidents. Working in a position like this, you need not only attentiveness, but also the ability to react at lightning speed in critical situations, especially if we're talking about rides that involve extreme speeds or heights, because they're the ones that had the most accidents during that ill-fated month. The US was still grieving the death of the young operator in Bristol when the next tragedy was already awaiting in Santa Clara, California. On August 22nd, 12-year-old Joshua Smurfat took his place on a ride called the Drop Zone Stunt Tower in Paramount's Great America Amusement Park. The operator lowered the soft restraint designed to secure Joshua's upper body. The boy's legs, like everyone else's, were swinging freely from the seat. A platform with 4 passengers started its slow climb to a height of 63 meters. When the ride cabin reached the top, there was silence for a few seconds. Then, the system abruptly let go of the seats, and they plummeted at over 97 kilometers per hour. According to eyewitnesses, the ride's braking system got activated. But at the same time, something happened to Joshua's safety restraint. Garrett Winslow, who was waiting in line, recalls seeing the bar lift suddenly. Joshua tried to hold on to his seat but flew out of the car. His body did several flips mid-air. He fell feet first and hit his head on the concrete.
Damn.
The other passengers just watched helplessly. As it turned out, no additional safety harnesses were used as a backup in case the soft restraint malfunctioned on such a dangerous ride. Some eyewitnesses, including a family friend, doubted whether park employees had checked to ensure the bar held the boy securely. Always make sure you're properly strapped in with harnesses or restraints. And don't be shy to ask the operators about the safety of the fixtures, since there's such a widespread reason for tragedies in amusement parks that literally the same issue came about on the following day, and it marked the beginning of the deadliest week in the history of amusement parks. August 23rd, 1999.
The next day?
Paramount's Kings Dominion Amusement Park in Doswell, Virginia. 20-year-old Timothy Fan traveled from another state specifically to ride the legendary Shockwave roller coaster. The attraction's unique feature is that the passengers are riding while standing. First, they're secured by safety straps, and then the mechanism reaches the speed of 80 kilometers per hour. In 2 minutes, the ride cars had to go through 2 loops. One held the passengers upside down, and the other went in a spiral. Before launching, the operator checked the reliability of the visitor's shoulder and waist restraints, and then set off the mechanism. But when the passengers entered the first loop, the restraints holding Timothy's body opened for some reason. His body was flung to the side. Timothy fell from a height of over 18 meters and died on the spot.
Damn.
After the incident, the attraction was immediately stopped, after which Shockwave was closed indefinitely for the investigation. Representatives of the park claimed that all safety systems had worked, and the restraints were securely attached before launch. To this day, no one knows whether the visitor himself could have brought about his own death, since some eyewitnesses say he was moving too vigorously during the ride, which could have caused the restraints to open. I'll say this just in case. Never loosen safety straps on amusement rides by yourself without the go-ahead from the operator. Also, avoid sudden movements to keep the restraints from snapping and opening. It's important because, according to statistics, roller coasters account for 10.2% of all injuries. The next day, after Timothy's death, a horrific tragedy shook California's Orange County.
Bro, at this point, why would you not just close down every fucking amusement park like in the world? Bro, that's like 5 people in a row.
This time as well, an accident happened on an amusement ride. August 24th.
The
Buena
next day
Park.
again? No
A
fucking
coaster
way.
named Ghost Rider was seeing an extremely long line of visitors waiting for their turn. This roller coaster is regarded as the park's main attraction. Its tracks go for over 1,300 meters in length, and its height reaches 36 meters. But the most crucial feature setting it apart from other rides is that it's made out of wood. However, this makes the roller coaster not just special, but also extremely dangerous. After the mechanism was launched and the train picked up speed, a piece of loose wood got chipped and fell into one of the ride cars, hitting the passengers. The blow was instantaneous and completely unexpected. 5 people were injured. One of the passengers sustained severe head trauma that required medical intervention and stitches.
Damn.
Park representatives claimed that the ride was meticulously checked every morning. If everything you've heard today has made you wonder how exactly safety is regulated in U.S. amusement parks, the answer may surprise you. In the entire U.S., only 20 states have introduced comprehensive monitoring of the attractions, and the rest leave safety up to the park owner's discretion. This is especially important to consider when visiting old or lesser-known parks, as their technical conditions may not meet modern standards. Interestingly enough, in the state of Florida, parks with over 1,000 employees aren't even liable to government control. In the case of Bonnet Park, on the very day of the disaster, the employees replaced the weak wood and tightened the screws, but that still didn't prevent the accident from happening. After the tragedy, the wooden blocks were additionally reinforced and metal safeguards were installed on the Ghost Rider attraction. It took the park 6 days to fix all the violations and open the attraction for visitors again. But I want to say that although wooden rides have their special charm, it also makes them highly unreliable. Be careful when choosing these attractions, even if they've undergone recent reconstruction. If you notice cracks or loose structural elements on one of them, be sure to inform park employees about it and refrain from going on that ride. The people who were on the Ghost Rider on that day were lucky to get away with nothing more than injuries, although they were serious. It could all have had a much, much worse ending, since the worst event is still ahead. August 28th, Ocean City, New Jersey. 39-year-old Kimberly Bailey, with her 8-year-old daughter Jessica, arrived in Gillian's Wonderland Pier Amusement Park. They made their way to a roller coaster named Wild Wonder. It's a ride with sharp turns, but it isn't too high. The mom and daughter took their places in a wagon with open sideboards and simple restraints on the knee level. When the car started climbing toward its 12-meter peak, everything looked normal. But suddenly, it all went awry. The chain that was supposed to hold the car snapped, and the passengers were set on a high-speed collision course toward the next steep climb. The emergency braking system supposed to prevent such instances didn't respond. Due to its extreme speed, the car didn't manage to stay on the tracks, and as a result, Kimberly and Jessica got flung out of it. The mother hit the attraction's metal beam, and the daughter fell to the ground nearby. The crash happened in front of dozens of eyewitnesses who were shocked by what they'd seen. After taking a turn, the empty ride car hit a passenger loading platform, injuring 2 more people. Their trauma wasn't that serious, but sadly, the mom and the daughter didn't survive.
Damn.
The investigation found that the disaster was caused by a snapped pulling chain and a faulty emergency braking system. The safety restraints on the passenger's knees were only designed to keep the body safe when moving forward, not backward. In addition, the ride car's open sideboards didn't provide the necessary protection to keep people from falling out. So, pay attention to the technical condition of ride cars and safety systems. Safety straps and closed sideboards significantly lower the danger of trauma. After the tragedy in Gillian's Wonderland Pier, the U.S. authorities finally started implementing new standards for amusement parks. They introduced larger fines for violating safety regulations. The park in question, Gillian's Wonderland Pier, had to pay a $25,000 fine, and the ride manufacturer, the Zamperla Company, got a fine of $30,000. However, the changes didn't stop at financial penalties. All amusement parks were obligated to meet stricter requirements, such as having to provide detailed engineering projects and reports on ride accidents. In addition, to ensure better control, state investigators were granted the right to demand documents and eyewitness testimony during the investigation. As a result, the park's safety control became much more centralized. Another important step was introducing ride operator requirements. In 9 states, it was stipulated that park employees must be over 18 years old. The death of a mother and her daughter in Gillian's Wonderland Pier became the most tragic accident of that tragic August of 1999. However, it wasn't the last. The 8th and final incident of that fateful month occurred in Cedar Point Amusement Park in Sandusky, Ohio, on August 29, 1999, when a technical issue arose with the corkscrew roller coaster. It was the same old problem with a chain hoist. It broke down, causing a car with passengers to get stuck on the tracks. Although no serious harm was done, 4 of the passengers sustained minor injuries. After the deadly accident in Gillian's Wonderland Pier, it took some time for updated standards to be implemented in amusement parks. I'm not even talking about traveling fun fairs that move from place to place, avoiding checks that way. Tell us in the comments if you trust mobile amusement parks, and maybe I'll dedicate the next video to them. Also, subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories that...
That's gonna do it. Hey, after seeing this, would y'all still go on these roller coasters? Me, personally, I'm not touching these shits. Shit is not worth it. Hey, let me know in the comments. With that being said, we's out of here.